Hello, ladies and gentlemen. And you too. Whatever you are. Hey, I wanted to invite you to join us here for our meeting. We have Tammy and we have John and we have Martin. Oh, it's actually Mary, Greg and Betsy and Joe. And we haven't seen our speaker yet, so I'm going to ad lib up here for a while. We have one new face. Can you put him on? Yeah. Talk to us. Tell us about yourself.
Thanks, Eric. I just moved into Del Webb with my neighbor right here. So he recruited me. And, oh, sorry. So I just moved into Del Webb. So I got recruited by my neighbor here. And looking forward to the Bonaire, dive. I've done the in pool, but not the open water yet.
I hear you're going to go out to Mammoth Lake at the
Going to Mammoth Lake. Yeah, little nervous because it's dark there, or so I hear. So, yeah,
it's pretty hard to hurt yourself out there.
Not really.
Right.
Yeah. And I guess one thing I am struggling with is my equalization. That's the one thing I'm struggling with.
That's a skill.
Mm-hmm.
I can talk to you a little bit afterwards
Yeah.
about what I would recommend that you do.
Okay. So, yeah. So that's piece one, and the piece two is I've heard the term air hog.
You too?
I'm an air hog right now.
Well, that's also a learned skill. It's also a learned skill.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
Well, thank you very much
for the introduction.
Are you going to, you think, do any underwater photography or videography?
Oh, I'll leave that to the professionals.
Okay. Well, thank you for joining us. I do appreciate that. Let me ask if I have a few things to announce. Again, April next year, we have our Houston Underwater Film Festival. Standing in it. Okay, there we go. Hey, there's Lloyd from Austin. Lloyd just joined us. And Andy down in the Clear Lake area. That's cool. And Sage, good. I got something to talk about for a minute. And anyway, so the film festival is April of next year. As you've not heard about it, I guess, probably. But every year we have an internationally open film festival for 2 days, Saturday and Sunday, down at the Match Theater, Midtown area. And it's pretty wonderful, really great stuff. A number of different categories. Everybody gets to vote on their favorite films in all the different categories. So we don't have a panel of judges. You are the channel. So then also, we just, I think, are almost approved now for next January the 18th, one day before I turn 80. That's. There's a mixed match also down at the Match Theater. And at that point, we have 7 people or 6 or 7 people that are from the club that are going to be giving presentations for about 6 to 10 minutes each on various aspects of underwater photography and videography. And that's going to be pretty neat, I think. We also have a video contest that is coming up. It's going to be postponed one more month instead of, is it October now, Martin?
Yes. I think so.
Betsy, when is the video contest going to be?
Wait.
Hello, Greg and Betsy. I'm not hearing you. Okay, whatever. Anyway, we can still take your video. Yes.
Okay, the video contest deadline is October 31st.
October 31st. Okay, thank you. How's the weather up there in Colorado? Keystone.
It's fantastic.
It's fall,
It's fall.
a real fall, not the Houston fall.
Well, you're lucky. The hurricane is going to be down here while you're up there.
Yeah.
Well, I think we're going to get the clean side this time, I hope. Another thing that I want to bring up is that I've been talking with the president of the Dallas Underwater Photograph Society, and he has been trying to promote a two-club contest called the Texas Showdown between the Dallas people and the Houston Underwater Photograph Society, us. And I'm interested in doing that. And Craig, I think, said as long as somebody takes over and does it, he's okay with it. So I'm going to pursue this.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Dallas doesn't have a chance.
Yeah, I know. You're a little loud there. Too loud. Anyway, we would probably be talking, I don't know if Linda Ionella normally would show up at our meetings, but she's a member of the South Florida Underwater Photograph Society. We may actually ask if they would be willing to be the judges or provide a panel of judges for that. And right now, we don't have any rules. We don't even know which categories we would have. That's
What
something
time
that we're
frame?
going to work on
What time frame?
sometime next year.
Sometime.
We don't have a date. We don't have an agenda. All we have is a need,
An idea.
an idea that we're working on. I think it'll be pretty cool to do something like that. And what about anybody been diving lately? Brian has been over in the aquarium, yeah. Yeah. Okay, well, I think that.
Yeah, flower gardens are still beautiful.
Okay, that's Andy, yeah. Andy, I have your the shoes for Jesse, and we'll be giving it to him at his going away party.
Thank you.
All right,
I'll probably be offshore, unfortunately.
and I'm going to be in the Philippines. Well, I'll be heading towards the Philippines when this is all taking place. So how are we doing, Louise, as far as how many people are you think that have signed up? 40 people are going to show up? Okay, all right. Okay. Yeah, I got it. Just had one, I'm looking at my calendar.
Yes, well, Jesse had given me a list, but,
And I was left off the list. I'm gonna have to have a word with that guy.
like, they just got their invitation.
Louise, Louise, I need to talk to you about what I'm doing for Jesse in this meeting. Where are you going to be having this? Okay, so they have a big screen there, right?
Yeah. I
Mhm.
guess I can figure out how.
Did you give Louise a shoe?
Yeah, that's.
Yeah, Martin will take the shoes, or you can take the shoes right there, right? Okay. But I probably have maybe, I'm thinking a 15-minute film. Is that going to be too much of all the things that Jesse has done over the years? Okay. I hope that people watch it. I'm working my butt off on it.
Well,
No,
just, I'll probably go through Tom Dolan, about what he does, works for you.
you just need a computer and an HDMI connection and a thumb drive, and I'll make sure that you have all that. Okay. Who? I don't know, are they? Okay.
Oh,
Yeah, okay.
I don't have a laptop, so I'll have to look at the list and see who can help me on that.
There we go. All right. Now we're on.
Possibly
And now we're not on
possibly
any.
Martin or
Yeah, and when is the date for that again?
the 21st.
Yeah, I'm going to be on the way to the Philippines at the time, unfortunately. Hmm?
Yes.
Coming right up.
Do they have a projector there? Projector for shooting?
No, they don't have, they have a HDMI connection with for a computer. I've done a presentation for them through the HDMI cable. A computer,
So it
a
has
laptop.
project built in. It's an actual monitor, you said.
I think it is it's all set up, ready to go. Because when I did it, yeah. Justin and I did a presentation for them and it worked fine. I think it was projected. I could be wrong. Okay. Are you sure you have it? I think. Oh, yeah, you got it. Of course you do. Okay. All right. So we haven't had anybody that's been diving. We've talked about Jesse and his going away. You know, Jesse is moving to the Philadelphia area. He already has a place up in Cape May, New Jersey, right on the beach, as far south as you can go in New Jersey before you get wet, or you're in Delaware. And then they're getting themselves a townhome, I think it is, up in the Philadelphia area. He's originally from there, and I think Christine also is from that area as well. And so all their family, Don and all that people, going home. Yeah.
Dennis told me that he was gonna be.
Jess will be also, yeah. Mhm. Yeah. Their son is going up and he wants to teach, I think, history is what he's going to be teaching up there. He's been, he was teaching English over in China before. So anyway. Mhm. I have a gadget. It ain't cheap, but it's kind of neat. This is my gadget. It's on top right up here. Okay. And what it is, for people like me who are challenged with eyesight problems, it's an anglerfish creative lighting monitor. So if you can see, and I think it's pretty good. I'm going to be taking it with me over to the Philippines, and I'm going to be doing almost all macro and super macro. And something like this is going to let me be able to see things with my vision problems I've got. The little thing on the bottom down here, I can turn it on, but I can't hardly see it. So this is going to help me. And if you want to buy one, about $2,000. Oh, it's not a. But I told Craig, it says I don't have anything cheap to show him. So that's what I have. Okay, I'm going to do a little bit of introduction to Walter. Is that I've known Walter through Facebook, I guess, for the last 4 or 5 years. I've seen him posted. I knew that he was big into macro and also over in Analau with the people over there doing Blackwater diving. You have, and so I know him through Facebook. We were on our way over there, and I think it was in 2020, weren't you over there in 2020, Walter?
Yes, yes.
Yeah, just right at the beginning of COVID, when COVID was getting started up. And you were leaving the day that we got there. I was looking forward to hopefully seeing you, but Mike said that you had already taken off.
I would passed on the freeway.
Yeah, probably. Right by the volcano, as I recall, right?
Yes.
Did you get caught in the volcano over there?
No, I mean, we had some earthquakes underwater, but that was about it.
But
And probably same as you, the viz wasn't that well with all the ash in the water, but
yeah, we found some good things, but Mike said that the critters were not showing them up like they normally did, but we saw some good stuff. It was good. But anyway, I've known that Walter has been doing a lot of macro and super macro, but perhaps he's been more focused for the last 4 or 5 years on blackwater diving and has been sort of a specialist in that particular technology. I'll tell one anecdote because you post a lot of things that were on Facebook, and one of them caught my attention because you have used these super wide wet lenses, and that's very good for blackwater diving, except for you got to be practically up on top of things to be able to do it. But everything's in focus, and when you're out there in the blackwater with a lot of backscatter around you, it's hard to get things to focus. You know, like trying to do it with a macro lens, well, forget it. It's just not going to happen hardly at all. I don't know how Linda Ionella does it, but she manages. But anyway, Walter is one of the pioneers. He's not one in charge of it, but he's been doing blackwater diving probably from almost the beginning, wouldn't you think, Walter?
Oh, yeah, yes.
Yeah. Walter's got more than double the number of dives that I have, and that's a buttload. So, and you've been diving for like 40 years?
50.
50. That's right. Right. 50 years. That's right. So I want to turn it over to him, and Walter, the floor is yours.
Well, let's get started. All right, I'll see if the video works afterwards, or you can just see them on, you can look them up on YouTube later on. I initially was scheduled to do this talk for the scuba show back in 2020, but something happened. COVID happened. But back then, this was still a new and upcoming niche, and today it seems like it's being done everywhere. Yeah, and my big thing here is who's made night dives?
Everybody says yes.
Everybody here. Who's actually dove oil rigs?
I'd say most of us have.
Yes. And who made night dives on oil rigs? Not that many, but Blackwater is just like that, but without the oil rig. So there's no bottom, no fixed point of reference, just Blackwater. And now for a little bit of history of how I started to do this. Yeah, this here is a recent picture of Mike Bartik, a little frame grab from my video. And it looks like he's welding underwater. And back in 2011, our local Southern California conditions were awful. It was just nasty green. So a buddy and I decided we're going to do something different. We were inspired by Kona's pelagic magic thing. So we took his boat offshore where there was some visibility. We had no idea what we were doing. And we didn't even know anybody doing this. And our first attempt was off of Long Beach. And like I said, the inshore water was nasty green, but the offshore suddenly was really blue and clear. So we made up these down lines with a sliding John line, basically a 100-foot line from Home Depot and with a 10-pound weight. And the John lines were attached to us and they slid along the down line. And of course, you got to put a little fishing weight in the center. Well, there we go. Put a little fishing weight in the center of them to keep the line, the middle of the line sagging down. That way it's not spaghetti all over you. And this provides a sense of security, especially in limited viz, and by being tied to the boat. I understand Kona still does this kind of thing, and this was always fun with a bit of current because I would be filming and then I'd be drug away from the main line, and then suddenly I'm like a dog at the end of the leash. I got to swim all the way back. So there was lots of swimming involved. And sometimes the winds push the boat along faster than we could. And so we got a droge or a sea anchor to point us into the wind and slow the boat down. Sometimes we did a lot of swimming, and the currents could vary direction and currents that vary at different directions. And when at times we're not paying attention, we go, "Oh wow, look at that big orange jellyfish." Nope, it was the droge. So, and we dove not.
Uh-oh,
Oh,
that's him, right?
am I
He's coming. Okay, you're back, Walter.
I'm
Something
still-
happened.
Okay.
You need to just try to share screen again. You just disappeared.
Yeah. Where'd I go? Somebody stepped on the hose. Okay, are we good again?
Yeah, we're good again. You good?
Okay. Yeah, as I was saying, when we first started this, we dove not knowing what to expect. You know, we would come up amazed at what we saw and wondering what we saw. You know, and we finally realized how a mola mola gets enough to eat. You know, the very first dive we did, there were those sea butterflies, and there was one like every 2 to 3 feet across and coming at me and about 20 feet deep of just this clutch of them coming by. It was just magical. And how do I get? Oh, I gotta go over here. Okay.
There we go.
Yeah, we made many dives like this. It was our dive of choice. Instead of, as I said, instead of surfacing and saying, "Hey, we saw this, we saw that," it's one of the few dives you can come up and go, "What was that?" And we never did it. For some reason, we never did it at night because there's tons to see at night. And off of the California coast, it can get a little arduous at night, or even the day. And the things I really enjoy about Blackwater is the sense of discovery, finding stuff that's new, that I've never seen, and potentially no one's ever seen before. About 4 years later, it seemed that suddenly the pelagic drifters stopped. We did still have a few good encounters every now and then, but it just wasn't like that. It wasn't overly consistent. A year or so ago, it was just pyrosome soup. As you see in this image here, everything you see there except the diver is pyrosomes. It was just you couldn't get to the bottom of them. It was all the way to the surface. And I kind of see our oil rigs as a good barometer to check pelagic critters. Eureka is just our oil rig. Eureka is just inside of a large shelf. So, now a bit of science about what Blackwater is. Every night, the largest migration on Earth happens. Creatures from the deep rise to the surface, and this is known as the Deal Migration. It happens in saltwater and freshwater, from the tropics to the poles. We did have, wait a minute, I'm going backwards. All right. And acoustic surveys that were done in 2010 during an 8-month expedition detected these Deal migrations around the world. At the poles, the migration follows the light of the moon in winter and their internal circadian clock in summer, with shorter and shallower journeys. As you can see in these charts there, in daytime, everything's deep. There's very little bit on the surface. It's only in the evenings when they come up. And a huge biomass from the deep rises to the surface in search of food. This was first discovered with the advent of underwater radar. The radar reflected off the millions of fish air bladders and gave a false bottom reading. Submarines were able to hide under this radar once they discovered it. And as you can see from this chart here, this is all the stuff that moves from 400 to 800 meters. It all moves up within 200 meters. So we're just scratching the surface in the stuff that we see. The deep scattering layer this biomass is referred to as a deep scattering layer, so named because of the biomass scatters the radar of the signals. Most mesopelagic organisms, fish, squid, siphonophores, make this daily migration. And following a similar migration of the zooplankton, or is the zooplankton getting chased up by predators? And this process is responsible for what's called the biological carbon dump. During the day, phytoplankton absorbs carbon, zooplankton and herbivores rise at night. They consume the phytoplankton. They in turn are consumed by predators, and all this carbon is brought downward in what's known as a biological carbon dump. And this process relocates about 10 gigatons of carbon every year, which would be a year's worth of energy consumption in the US. A huge feat for some of the planet's tiniest organisms. Let me know if you guys have any questions as I go. What can you see? I always like to say stuff with silent letters, ctenophores, cnidarians, and then there's the siphonophores, larvaceans, larval animals, settling animals, cephalopods, all kinds of stuff you didn't even know existed. And of course, lots of sea snot. And the sea snots is, as you know, as some of you may know, is caused by the larvaceans. They're the guys that create. If the water temperature is correct, they can make 8 homes a day, and then they leave their home, which looks like 2 little lungs, and they vary in tiny too. I've seen some this big, and they collect all this crap in the water, and then they just let it go, and they're responsible for most of the marine snow. And you can see plankton, which is a diverse collection of life that is unable to swim against the current. Larval animals are gelatinous drifters, larval animals and gelatinous drifters are just some of them. During daytime blue water, during the daytime blue water dive, these are the prominent creatures we see. We don't see a whole lot of the strange, weird stuff that comes up late at night because these guys just drift with the current. And this here is a shot of a sea butterfly, and you can see he's got a mucus net in the back that collects food for him. And there's also stuff that can swim against the current, although not jellyfish, because they're considered planktonic. They can swim, but not strong enough. Animals of the deal migration are stronger swimmers, like fish looking to settle on a reef, shrimp, squid, nautiluses, and of course, we may be treated to the really strange deep sea stuff. And about 8 years ago, I heard of people doing Blackwater elsewhere. And then when I was with Mike at Crystal Blue, we decided to try it, and we were tethered to the boat. Lots and lots of swimming because of the wind picking up at night. And we didn't have a sea anchor. And only one of the dive guides wanted to come with us, and he never let go of the line. He was just terrified at night. But they all got used to it. They all love doing it now. But we do it drifting it. We do it the new way, where we're untethered. We're with a light buoy and the downline. You can just drift with the buoy in the current, and the boat follows the buoy. I've drifted 5 miles at night, not even feeling anything. And of course the downline is not to hang on to it. It's just for reference. It's something to keep in sight at all times. And the light, like moths to a porch light, bugs are attracted to it. And predators eat the bugs, but the predators tend to stay a little farther away from the light dome. And this type of diving requires a different comfort level and level of trust. Being tethered gives a nice sense of security, especially in limited visibility, but untethered definitely provides more freedom. And you gotta trust in yourself, trust in your buoyancy, your spatial awareness. Critters are going to take you deeper than you want to go, or rocket to the surface, and trust that the boat's going to be there when you surface. And you must be comfortable with night diving. If you get fixated on taking images, it can quickly turn into a solo dive. And in the inky blackness, your buddy is the line, and everything will suddenly disappear and you won't know where you are. And of course, with the visibility here, it's easy to lose the line. You definitely got to keep an eye on the line. And one thing I always start doing when I notice I start getting drifting away a little bit, I look at my compass and, and I go, okay, the line's that way as I'm slowly going. I do that a few times and then suddenly I notice, yes, I'm always drifting this way. And then when I totally lose the line, I just go to that compass heading and then I'll start seeing somebody strobe flash or see the lights of the downline. And if you get fixated on taking images, you're going to end up with a sawtooth profile like this. I don't want to show these to Dan. And you got to know your limits and your comfort levels, because many of the animals are going to head for the depths as soon as you shine a bright light on them, or, like I said, rocket to the surface. Definitely, as Bartik likes to say, definitely adult diving. You're pretty much on your own doing this. And how are you going to prepare for your first Blackwater dive? Like the oil rigs, this is not the place to try new gear. You got to be comfortable with your gear, have proper buoyancy, comfortable with yourself, because in the dark abyss, your buddy may not see you if you have a problem. And of course, strap everything on, because there's no bottom. If you fumble something, it's gone. And you want a hunting torch. By a hunting torch, I mean a small handheld. There we go. Hold it next to my face. A small handheld light with a narrow beam. This one, I even I sort of snoot it so it creates a smaller, tighter beam. And that's one of my older ones though, because that's really important to find stuff. And Blackwater dives are not typically critter rich. I find it, it's kind of like golf. You get that one great shot or that one great round that always brings you back.
Hey,
And
Walter, could I ask a question?
Sure, absolutely.
Yeah, you mentioned your spotter light. I just bought one of the a spotter light that's more powerful. That's got a 12-degree angle. Is that going to be spot enough? You think 12?
Yes, as tight of an angle as you can. Yes.
Okay.
If you find that thing isn't really, what you definitely don't want is a wide beam like a video light, because you're inside of a snow globe if you turn that on. So the tighter the beam, the better. Yes. A 12-degree angle would probably be just perfect. And if you find out you still get too much bleed off it, you can just put a little piece of PVC on the end of it.
That's a good idea.
So, how to take images. If you think taking underwater images is challenging, this is way worse, because you're shooting in a 3D environment, and you want to try to make your camera neutral so it just sits there when you let it go. So you're not struggling to hold it down or to push it up. And so it's balanced. So it's not tipping forward and it's not tipping backward. Because I haven't found a tripod long enough to take my video stationary. And at first when you go, you're going to see some of the larger stuff, salp, squid, a lot of the gelatinous thing, hopefully some large jellyfish. And once you get your fill of these, that's when you're going to start tuning your eyes in to look for the really strange stuff. Like the slipper lobster, the picture I stole from Linda Ilano online. And this slipper lobster is quite interesting. You see this big head in the front with the eyeballs? The next time it molts, that goes away. And its head and eyes are on what's below it. Strange. Many of the subjects are small and even macro size. So you're going to need a good spotting light. Generally your subject's going to be within 2 feet. So for stills, a 60mm lens, and you're going to raise your ISO, and I like to do a focus lock. Turn your strobe and, turn your lights inward so you don't get a whole lot of backscatter on this here. With me, I focus on my hand. When I start, I just focus on my hand about this far away, and I use the back button focus. So once the subject comes here, I can go a little closer, hit the back button focus, and see the focus peaking. And and of course, if you're doing a blue water dive, you point the camera down, it turns black, and you got a Blackwater dive. And of course, the better the viz, the less backscatter, and there is Photoshop. And shots like these here, where you see all the time with absolutely no backscatter, that was just a lot of Photoshop work. That image was not taken that way. So this is my latest setup. As you know, I do video with a Sony A7S III. I got a 28 to 60mm lens. I'm using that AOI wide angle, which is great. Gives me great depth of field. I can zoom in a bit. I can actually focus on the lens.
Tell them about the little octopus.
Oh, okay. Yes, there was a little octopus once. I'm filming him, and he's real close to the lens, and he's swimming away, and suddenly turns and plants himself right on the lens and walks down. It's all well lit and in focus. It's just strange.
Those wide angle lenses are amazing, aren't they?
Yeah, they're absolutely amazing. Another time I was with someone, and I'm trying to get this little fish there, and how come I can't get closer to it? How come I can't get to the side on it? And then my buddy goes later, he's laughing, he goes, yeah, he was plastered to your lens like this. You're pushing him around. And here also you see I made on my lights, I have those little ABS sewer pipe deflectors that I made, and that's so I don't blind my fellow divers, and it also knocks down a lot of the backscatter. It'll create just black outside of here, and I'm going to be. I just got a big an AOI double flip filter, and I'm going to try to use that diopter that I have there for some of the little stuff. I'm not sure it's going to work, but I've seen a few people do that. They have you have for the wide angle, they have that small one that Naughty Cam makes, that little wide angle.
Have you talked to Linda Ionella about what she does?
Yeah, I've seen her. She just sits in one spot and doesn't move. She's got three strobes. It's got it set up, and she just waits until something's in position and takes shots. She just sit there. She's amazing, the stuff she gets. I know I swim around like a maniac looking for stuff, and she sits at about 40 feet and just right by the line and just sees this tiny little stuff come in and takes shots.
Have you met Jeff Nilayson from Kona?
No, I have not met him.
Yeah, he's got quite a nice resume on Blackwater. He's got a book out on it.
Yep.
Amazing. He's an Ike-Light, whatever the guys they call him.
Ambassador or something.
Ambassador, yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
But he does good work with it.
Oh, yes.
Walter, if I could ask you about that previous slide,
Here.
your lighting there, it's a tad bit concerning for the most of us who don't have specialized gear like that. So, I mean, like say we're going to be sitting there with a strobe, like a normal strobe, right? And we don't have those things on. So the strobe goes off, everything gets lit, and we've got tons of backscatter. So if we're just going to be going out on like a night dive, like we're going somewhere and they say, hey, you want to go on a night dive? And you go on a night dive. What are we going to do about that? How are we going to stop all of that? Even if we point them towards the lens like you're doing right there.
That's why God created.
Well, You, the,
You know, you know, I'm not God, and I have a nice relationship with Lightroom, and I friggin' hate going through there and, you know, spending 3 hours on, you know, removing backscatter all day long, you know?
understood, understood. But it's kind of the nature of the game. If you, you know, do you get backscatter when you're on a reef and shooting pictures?
Yeah.
You know, if you're doing shots, if once you shoot those lights off, I mean, you don't need crazy killer lights. I need these heavy lights because I'm shooting 4K 120 frames a second and you know, full frame. So I had to upgrade lights because my other lights just weren't bright enough. And your strobes, even a smaller strobe, is way more light than these things
Yeah.
when they shoot off. So it's all just a matter of your lighting technique of turning them inwards, trying to minimize thing. And yes, you're going to be playing Photoshop. Although one video, well, I mean, one image that just surprised me that won a lot last year was this paper nautilus sitting on a leaf or something, and there was backscatter everywhere. And some of it was even bokeh out, so it looked like bubbles, and it was like in a snowstorm. And I was kind of surprised this thing won. But then thinking about it, I go, yeah, this shot was up against everything was perfectly black. So it looked way more creative.
Okay, so Walter, so question then. On most of these strobes nowadays, you can adjust the EV strength. So what am I deducing here that you're saying set that to the minimum strobe strength?
No, probably mid, and you're probably going to have to bump your ISO as well too, because it's, you know, it's so dark that light just goes away. It's not bouncing off anything unless there's a silvery fish, and that's like shooting a mirror.
I would think the lowest you'd want to shoot is f16, f22.
Yes, you want to you want to maximize your depth of field.
Yeah.
Because
Yeah, so I'm
pardon?
quite used to setting my ISO really, really, really high because my camera can handle that. I do night dives all the time, and I mean, I shoot 10,000 ISO without a problem. But doing a F16 or 20 with a dark scene, I mean, that's a challenge.
Yeah, but you're so close. You're going to be so close to them.
I see. Okay.
Yeah.
Not like
Hey.
you're doing wide angle.
Got it.
No,
Okay.
no, you're right next to this stuff because my normal jump settings is ISO of 12,800, and then with about f18, and of course I got to be at 1/2, 1/250.
Yeah.
Because I have to
Okay,
double my frame rate.
Okay, so fast shutter speed, high ISO, and high f-stop. Or
Yeah.
wide open, shut down then.
Well, actually, and when you're in Blackwater, the shutter speed is not really what controls it if you're shooting photos, because the strobe is going to be faster than the shutter anyway.
Yeah, 250 is max, yeah.
Yeah, so. Okay. No, it is a challenge. It's going to, if you have never done this, it's going to take you a few dives to get used to it, just to get the idea. I'm still working on my optimal settings, because as I'm saying, in post-production, out of the camera, everything's going to look awful. It's going to need work. You got to crop it. With video, you're going to slow you're going to slow the scenes down, and a little backscatter is going to look okay, and slightly out of focus will suddenly seem kind of okay too. But, you know, with a macro shot, your depth of field is limited, and it's going to take you a few dives to figure out how your camera properly works. As I said, I'm still learning how to work mine. But if you're comfortable with yourself, got enough shots of Garibaldi, Kellett's Whelks, and everything else, you're gonna love Blackwater. And anybody got any other questions?
Yeah, I'd like you to tell people, you've been into a lot of video contests recently. I know that you have two that were just recently accepted into the San Diego Undersea Film Expo. And you were actually in one of our HUF contests a year or two ago.
Yeah.
And I hope that we're going to get you to submit some more for this next year. April, it's coming up. We need to have your stuff before December 31st, I
okay.
think it is, December 1st.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
I'll try to get something together.
Yeah. Anyway, tell them a little bit about what you have done and the honors that you've received.
Oh, I've 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 been entering in contests since the 80s. I've been entering in in these various photo video contests. And it used to be a lot more fun, I should say. There was more, I mean, there was more incentive, there was more gear and and that sort of stuff. But they've all sort of evolved into just being bragging rights. There's very few contests where you actually win stuff anymore. But and to me, the biggest issue is a story. You know, there's you know, the easy ones to do would be just a simple music video, like the video, this Fiji stuff running behind me. You know, put that to music and have a glass of wine and just watch it. But and then then there's trip videos, and it's real. I just want to stay away from that, you know, going, hey, I went to Thailand and this is what I saw, and here's the boat, here's the people, and here's all the fun we had. That's not overly exciting to me. I like to make a little documentary kind of thing, try to educate people a bit. So some of my better ones would be like I did one called A Year Under the Pier, which is a local Newport Pier. I tried to hit it as much as I could for a year, and I was just showing the difference in life as it progressed, and that thing won a lot. And some of my Blackwater ones have been winning a lot, and I think it's mainly because it's new. And once other people start filming it, there's going to be a lot more competition on that one. So most of the contests I enter in, I kind of check you know, where you guys have it up on that Film Freeway.
Yeah.
Put it up on Film Freeway, and there I can kind of look to see where there's some nature ones and ones that don't cost $50 to enter. But and to me, it gives me something to do. You know, what do you do with your footage? That's what I always ask people with their footage or their images. What do you do with them after you put them up on Facebook or YouTube? You know, because once they're a few years old, I don't think anybody watches my YouTube stuff, except for a few isolated ones. But
You might be surprised. Yeah.
yeah,
Hey,
yeah,
Walter, you have been down to Cozumel recently, and you did some blackwater diving down there. How do you compare that to Antelope?
I'd love to go there more often.
The Cozumel.
Cozumel's awesome. The visibility is, I mean, you got 200 feet of visibility out there. And you know, you get away from the island, there's like 200 foot of visibility. It's really hard to lose the light. And there's some amazing animals come up there. But they haven't seen any and there's some other animals that they really haven't seen, like the paper nautiluses, you know, the female paper nautilus, or even the like the blanket octopus they haven't seen, and there's stuff you can see in both. You know, there's new, you know, that are exclusive, seem to be exclusive to both areas, but choice of that, Antelope or Cozumel, I'd probably take Cozumel because the water is, you know, the water's so clear.
Yeah,
it's
I was wondering about it. In fact, I've been talking about the possibility that we might take a club trip down there next year sometime and offer not only blackwater diving, but some of the macro opportunities that are showing up down there.
Mhm.
And if people want to go out to Palancar and do the Devil's Throat or whatever, they can do that.
Yeah,
So
see,
it's
to me, the Blackwater is the only reason I'd want to go to Cozumel. Because they just, to, the heavy currents and seeing all, the Palancar or Columbia and all those other stuff. After I do it 2 or 3 times, it's like, yeah, I don't know, to me, it's just hard to take a video. I'm a crappy wide angle. I always say I'm a crappy wide angle guy. I'll swim around with my wide angle camera, take a few shots, and I go, okay. Because of these shots behind me from Fiji, it's like, how much more footage do I need of Antheas? I mean, it's gorgeous, but how much more of that do I need? So I just don't see a lot of variety. And
hey, I just finished a film with from the Fiji stuff now. Don't go bad mouthing that.
yeah, yes, because Cozumel's great. If you guys go, yeah, you want to set things up. I mean, when I go with Mike, he said he goes with Aldora divers. I mean, there's a bit of a rivalry going right now between Aldora and Robert.
Yeah.
And they're both fine. I'd go with Robert. He's a nice guy. He's a good guy. He's a little wacky. He's really excited. I mean, he's just as excited as Bartik is on doing this. But so when we did it with Mike, he had it set up with that we did 2 Blackwater dives at night, which is great. We made one dive in the morning and then two at night, and that was just fabulous. Because, like I said, I'd rather do the Blackwater.
Yeah.
And that'd be the place to go. That's really good. And the Florida people are, like Linda said, Ilanos is like, what's the point of going there? They see the same thing. They see pretty much the same stuff, which I'll show you why in a bit.
Yeah. Anyway, do we have any questions from people out there?
Yeah, just pop in and, where can you do this? Like I was saying, as far as I know, Hawaii started. Crystal Blue, they have workshops throughout the year doing it. And when they're during their workshops, you're going to do 2 at night, 1 during the day, or maybe 2 if you like, and then 2 Blackwater dives at night. Just sleep in. And then West Palm has weekly boat dives going out. Cozumel is just fabulous to do it. And this is the sort of the new and trending thing, still do it. And as I said, there's some underwater photo contests have a separate category for this nowadays. And where can you do this here? By here, I'm kind of mean here, because I don't know how things are quite where you guys are. But if you got to sucker a trusted friend who owns a boat, and you're going to want to try it in the daytime tethered to the boat just to get a feel for it and see how things are. And
let me ask a question. Andy, are you there? I saw you on earlier. Andy owns the fling down in the Gallows area, and he's been talking about putting together some Blackwater diving out off of Galveston, Flower Gardens, the Riggs and area down like that.
yeah,
We
I
just
saw
haven't
that
pulled the
I
trigger
saw
on
that
it
come
yet.
through a year or so ago. I don't know if that ever happened, but I saw
I-
that they were pushing
I
it.
don't think it ever did.
Yeah, that'd be awesome to do it on the fling out there.
Mhm.
And as I said,
Dennis,
Yes.
we did try to do it a few different times on the fling, and unfortunately, between weather and bookings, it has not happened yet to my knowledge, but we are still all interested in it.
Well, I'm interested in doing it with you guys. I still have one trip that I haven't been able to take. So maybe it'll happen later on this year.
yeah, I'd be anxious to see the results.
Yeah, I would too. To think it would probably be as good as Cozumel.
Yes, because
They share the same water.
yep. As you'll see in a minute, I got a chart showing some of the hot spots. And and as I'm starting to say, yes, you want a small boat. Well, fling's not a small boat, but a boat that you can trust and be selective. And because you don't need a lot of stuff. You just need some floats. Boat bumpers would work just fine. and 100 foot of line and some underwater lights. You know, they don't have to be super bright. I know Robert makes his they're insanely bright with him. You can probably see his lights from shore, and they don't. But they don't have to be crazy bright because they're mainly for reference and to attract some of the moths and stuff. And best places, I always find it would be, you know, in or on at the edge of a canyon or at the edge of a large shelf where the currents will make an upwelling. As for here, you know, off of our oil rigs, I think it's a good canary to see if you start seeing stuff out there, because she sits right on the inside of a big ledge. And a fair amount of people dive that. New moon seems to be the best, and an incoming tide is better than an outgoing tide. You're still going to see stuff on an outgoing tide, but there'd be more reefy stuff than seeing this deep pelagic stuff. And somewhere around 8 to 1,000 feet is what they seem to find as a hot spot. And they're starting to notice that the most productive areas are around the global conveyor belt, the currents of the global conveyor belt. As you can see, it goes right past Hawaii, Cozumel, Florida, and the Philippines, and it'll go right by the flower gardens too. So that would probably that if you follow that red line, that's where a lot of that stuff is. So there's three types of Blackwater diving: Blackwater over deep water, a bonfire. That's where you bring a float and anchor it to the bottom, and Blackwater during the day, or blue water diving. And you can do a bonfire from shore. You know, try here you want to do somewhere close to where there's a canyon like Redondo or Newport or La Jolla. And you don't need to bring a lot. Just bring a line, an anchor, a float, and a couple of lights. And you definitely want to have some lights to keep it as a reference, because you don't want to just drift away. And during a blue water dive, you can get a taste of what can be seen. And actually, even like on the fling, if you're doing a safety stop hanging onto the anchor, instead of just zoning out, tune in, look at that little crap coming towards you, because some of that stuff's alive. Because one of the strangest thing I saw is this here's a larval starfish. And this starfish will grow up, and then once it gets certain age, it'll fall off. And this gelatinous thing is just going to swim around for a few weeks or a month and then just die. Who knew? That was just a really strange thing we found once. And Blackwater dives I've done is here, a couple of them off of Palos Verde, Redondo, Dana Point, Catalina, and then of course Anilao, Romblon in the Philippines, Cozumel, Palau, and in Lembe. And to me, all Blackwater dives are FOMO dives, fear of missing out, because most of them are sort of hit and miss. When it hits, it's awesome. And especially with some cool critters like this one. If I didn't see anything else on the dive and I just saw that, not knowing what it is, I spend time videoing it from every way I can, and then I figure out then I go home and find out what it is.
Then you ask Linda.
Yes, right. Ask Linda or Mike or other people what is that? Anyhow, it's sort of a hit and miss. When it hits, it's awesome. Cozumel's great with the Viz. And Cozumel is actually where I drifted 5 miles at night. And there are a few nice ID books out, as Linda's book, Bartik's book, and Jeff's book, and of course I'm sure Linda's got a great Lindy Lano's got a great website for IDing and for ID. And of course, there's the Blackwater group, which is which started out small, and scientists seem to check regularly on it. If you find something weird and you can't figure out what it is, just ask, and within a couple hours, somebody's gonna let you know what it is.
Yeah, I think the geeks fight over who can be the first one to identify it.
Yeah, I agree. And then they argue about it. No, it's
Oh,
not.
yeah.
It's
It's like a sport.
Yep. Anyhow, to finish, in conclusion, with the right mindset, Blackwater can be one of the easiest and most interesting dives you'll ever make. And, I was trying to show a couple of videos. I don't know if I can do that. It says I'm screen sharing. Anyhow, I got a trip where I'm going to be doing a video workshop in October, and two of them, one to the northern Andaman Sea in Thailand, and another one a week in going up to Burma. And in
Ooh.
Burma, Bartik's going to be with us, and we're going to do the photo, our normal dog and pony photo video workshop, and going to do quite a bit of plan on doing quite a bit of Blackwater in Burma as well. Well, I gotta add Thailand to my list too. Did Blackwater in Thailand as well. So if anybody's interested, let me know. We'll probably do it again next year. And if you guys are looking for a club trip to go, I would definitely recommend the Smiling Seahorse. They are not pricing it with Western prices. And it's so. Few kilometers from these reefs, wondrous things can be seen in the Blackwater. Gelatinous animals are one of the first things most people see. But look closely and you may see small fish hiding within the jellyfish. Siphonophores, such as this Forscalia, appear to be a single organism. They're in fact a colonial organism with many specialized parts. Siphonophores are voracious predators. Salps are tunicates. Their chains can harbor many small creatures, such as the tiny male paper nautilus. Single salps can shelter various life trying to hide from predators. Ctenophores, or comb jellies, swim by moving their cilia, which refract light, giving us a cool light show. The Venus girdle is one of the largest ctenophores. Heteropods and sea butterflies are swimming sea snails. The world's most abundant snail is the sea butterfly. Pelagic nudibranchs swim like a fish. Bristleworms and the twisting and gyrating Alciopidae with its large eyes are polychaete worms. Many types of crustaceans, including shrimp, are found floating in the darkness. They may be part of the large diurnal migration. Some of the shrimp will surf a dead sea butterfly or barrel roll with the salp. This helps them to look larger to predators. The juvenile mantis shrimp and the lobster's camouflage is to appear clear. The lobster sometimes carries around the stingy bits of a siphonophore as protection. The phronima will hollow out a salp and lay her eggs inside of it, propelling the house along as she searches for food and rears her young. The swimming crab lives its life out in the open ocean. Sometimes the downline's lights attract schools of silversides, which is a broad category of silvery little fish. And sometimes there are scads of scad. Some of the larger filefish will find a jellyfish to hang on to for protection and food. Squirrelfish sometimes go crazy, spinning in circles. Jacks, which are usually found in groups, seem to be solitary in the black. The diurnal vertical migration is the largest migration on Earth. This is when animals from the deep rise up closer to the surface to feed. This intersects with the horizontal migration, bringing life back to the reef. This flounder's eyes will eventually migrate to one side. The larval eel is a clear ribbon in the black. The tripod fish, once grown, will live in the deep abyss, perched on its elongated fin rays. The invasive lionfish can be found in its juvenile form. The beautiful juvenile soapfish looks nothing like the bland-looking adult. This one will soon be looking for a reef to settle on. The pompano has long fins to make it appear like a jellyfish. Pearlfish emulate siphonophores with their fins and movement. When grown, the sharp-ear anope squid will live beyond 200 meters. No Blackwater dive would be complete without a visit by the various squid, inking about us and even swarming us as we leave the Blackwater world.
Well, that was pretty cool, Walter.
Oh, thank you. And
I remember the days of ticket overload, putting out fires, systems not working. But then we discovered a Terra.
There we go. Get rid of that.
yeah, get rid of that. Yeah, that was in that was 2 years ago. I've been to Cozumel twice since then.
Okay.
Definitely do need to update that.
Well, we have quite a few people out there. Justin and Joe and Sage. Did you've been down to Cozumel, right? And didn't you do some Blackwater diving down there, Sage? Oh,
She does it a lot. Yeah, I can
Yeah.
answer for her. She does it a lot.
Yeah.
I did a
Yeah,
couple
there you
times
are.
with her.
I've probably
Last
been
year?
down there about 4 times a year now for 3 years. And it's always great.
and you're diving with what's his name?
With Robert.
Yeah,
Yes,
Robert,
I
yeah.
I dive with Blackwater Cozumel. Yeah. There's a lot of people on that boat that have a lot of camera stuff going on, and everybody wants to talk about it, share information, learn, share critters. It's a really good place to learn and get into it and get excited. And Robert is definitely always very excited about the dives. So
You're shooting a TG6, right?
actually I've moved into a mirrorless. I have an Olympus EM5 now.
Ah, okay.
Ah.
Has it been working for you?
Yeah, I've only had it this year. So before that I was in a TG, which for Blackwater was interesting for a few years. But Linda was actually the one who helped me figure it out in the first place. And then I started going to Cozumel after COVID kind of started to go away. And but I've liked the move up, obviously. Getting away from the TG has been massive.
Well, I have an idea of mine that I might want to push through HUPS is to make a trip down there to Cozumel, a club trip. And I think you and I talked briefly about it.
Yeah,
Sure.
I'd love
Sure.
to help get that together.
Yeah, I think it would be fun to do, and it would offer people things to do during the day as well as the late night.
Yeah,
We'll
and
see.
it's close, it's relatively inexpensive compared to some of the other trips for some of us that can't get away for 2 weeks at a time. It's a good little break off.
Well, Robert's got a little mini Lembe down there, so people could actually do some macro shooting if during the day, if they didn't want to go down, do wide angle on.
Absolutely. The diving off of the shore in that area where we all go is actually pretty incredible muck diving, especially considering there's not that much of it on the Caribbean side. It's really good.
Yeah, I've
And
been
there's no
watching what
current.
he's been posting and it's pretty impressive.
Don't forget, no current. It's shallow and no current. You can be there all day.
You've been there too, haven't you, Justin?
Yeah, Sage, was it last day we went, Sage? I forget.
Yeah, it was the last time we were there. Justin and I were down for the same time frame
Yeah,
for
it
a
was
couple
last
days.
November. Yeah, it was last November. Yeah, right.
And we went on a shore dive for 2.5 hours that night.
2.5 hours. Yeah. I'm gonna say it's shallow. It's shallow and no current. You can be there all day. You're gonna run out of camera battery before gas.
2.5 hours at
Yes,
5 feet,
we
huh?
did run out of camera battery.
You run out of camera battery before gas.
All right. Do we have some, we're gonna have to cut it loose now and get to the photo contest. Walter,
Okay.
you're welcome to watch the photo contest. We have some interesting things this time.
Yeah, I
So,
think I'm gonna go have dinner myself, but
all right.
thank you for having me. And yeah, if you guys go to Cozumel, have a great time. It's wonderful. To me, it's a perfect place to do the Blackwater stuff. So,
All right. Hey, thanks very much.
okie doke, thanks. Have a good time. Good day.
Yeah, I'm glad that we finally managed to get you the link.
Yes, yeah, just didn't
That-
realize it's inside the
Oh,
news.
well. Okay, we're gonna
Yes.
have the photo contest next.
Thanks for coming, Walter.
Well, we managed to get our way through it. Craig, give me a grade here. Appreciate you all coming. You know, we're gonna be going over for La Tapatia. So let's
A plus as usual,
shut
Dennis.
her on down. Do we have any questions?
Raise your hand, who else going tonight?
Hey, it's A plus as usual. Thanks a lot for doing that. And have fun at La Tapatia.
Yeah, we'll miss you.
Leave an empty chair for you guys.
Yeah.
Well, you know, just put an empty margarita glass in front of it because I don't want to taste one I'm not gonna
Only
drink.
one.
I'll leave some enchiladas for you, Betsy.
All right, shut her down.
See you next month, guys. Ciao, ciao.
Thanks, Justin. Congratulations on your win and a win and a win.
Yeah, it's not too bad, eh?
Not too bad. Thank you,
All right,
brother.
guys.
Maybe you know what you're doing, huh?
All right, yeah. I think I'm on next month, so I'll be in person, yeah?
Yeah, we're gonna need to see how you guys function.
Right. All right.
I'm looking forward to that.
It's gonna be fun, yeah. Very good. See you guys.
Bye-bye.